Mr. Bob Moulton. He is, shall we say, 4 generations, right? Isn't that what you told me? Or 8?
6 generations.
6 generations. I got it all wrong. He's six generations. Is that through your mother's family, the Nobles? And so he as well, he knows everything. There isn't anything that he doesn't know a little bit about. So he's wonderful to talk to. He wants to have like an oral review and a discussion and bring all you guys in and to discuss it with him, because his history is oral. It isn't something he's gone out and written down. He's only written topics down, I think.
We're
Anyway,
going to have a discussion.
so he hopes for a lot of interaction. He's descended from the Noble family. He was educated in the Escambia County school system, and he is a graduate of Vanderbilt and Stanford Universities, which is impressive in itself, and has been a pharmacist now for over 50 years. It's hard to get on the telephone. I introduce you to Mr. Bob Moulton.
This is really, truly a GBAHS interactive oral history discussion, and that means interactive, that y'all participate, and when I'm wrong, it won't bother me a bit. And even though I've been a pharmacist for over 50 years, my mentor is George GBAHS. George was really nice to me when I was a knee-high boy, and it's interesting how when we get a little more experienced in life, we become friends, and through Rotary, and just through family and all, George and I have become very, very good friends. And, so, anyhow, we'll talk a little bit more about George as we go along. What I want to say is what I've heard about GBAHS as a boy growing up from my family, and also what I think I know about GBAHS. As y'all well may know, that there was no bridge over here until 1934, and a fellow that was a good friend of my dad, Mr. Trine, he was the chief engineer on the bridge. I don't know how long it took him to build, but I'm sure a lot longer than what this construction company is doing a great job. But anyhow, people came over here. Either they came on their boat, or they came on launch, or they came on their yacht, and but even before that, English Cove over there, where old the English Cove apartments were, they were built, I think in around 68 or so. Anyhow, I became a resident there in 69, so it has significance relative to the colonial days too, and we're going to get into the interaction part pretty soon. And then Dead Man's Isle, which some of y'all may have worked on, helping to restore it and all. There was a family by the name of Creighton, and if you've ever been out to the Walmart out at Eastgate, that's on Creighton Road, and that originally was Gull Point, and a lot of significance to my family. I've got probably more relatives buried out there in the family cemetery than I have above the ground. But anyhow, so that was in the 1860s. And how I found that out was by a man by the name of Mr. Shirley Brown, who had Brown Marine, and he has a daughter named Shirley. She's an artist, but I can't think of her married name. Some of y'all might know her. And do any of y'all know the Duncans, the people that had the original land grant? And I really enjoyed talking to them and hearing about them. And some of these people, I think, have a lot to do. Can y'all hear me all right? Mm-hmm. Everything? Have a lot of significance as the development of what GBAHS is today. I think we need to give a lot of credit to Mr. Carl Hoffman. He had a summer camp over on as you come from Pensacola, on the right-hand side, over there where the old the new motel, Hampton Inn, is that area, and that beautiful residential area. But he had a sort of a summer camp there. He was a lawyer for the railroad down in Central Florida. But he had Pensacola heritage. He had a brother in town, Mr. Earl Hoffman, and the Hoffmans, along with the Bensons and some other people that we'll talk about, had a lot to do with the early development of Guppies that came about after the bridge, where people could come over here. That was there was one lane coming south and one lane going into Pensacola, and it was like when I was a young 16-year-old driver, and when a trailer truck came across there and I was driving, you know, I felt like we're going to be lucky if we survive. And so then it's interesting, and a lot of this isn't connected, so you'll just have to bear with it. But in about 1947, right after World War II, there was a fellow that was head of the coal union by the name of John Lewis, and he had a strike. And there were a bunch of tramp steamers that were in port. And one of them's captain was dating a girl that was the daughter of a friend of my father over at our house. But there was a squall that came up, and they didn't have any coal, so they didn't have any power. And one of the boats, one of the ships, tramp steamers, broke loose and knocked a hole in the bridge. And so that was my first encounter of a problem with the Bay Bridge. And they built a wooden span in there to take care of it. And then I encountered it after I got out of the Army in '69, when a barge ran into the bridge, and we really, a lot of us did. Who all here experienced when it was unbelievable. It was awful. And I worked in town and here too, and so it wasn't a good situation. Hopefully this, when we get the new part of the bridge, it won't be such a challenge. A little bit about Mr. Hoffman. Well, he had heritage. It was one of the reasons that he had a camp over here. But there was a man by the name of Mr. Clyde Jenkins, and he was from Chicago. He, ironically, was a pharmacist. After he was graduated, he worked one day for Walgreens in Chicago and decided he didn't like pharmacy. Well, the first day on the job is never a good day. But anyhow, he sold Ovaltine. But of the group that he came over, and they came over on a boat and bought a lot of this land that's over on the left-hand side from when you come from Pensacola, where Walmart and St. Anne's and St. Francis are. Anyhow, he was somehow able, most of them dropped out, and he was able to hang on to it. And so those two men, along with the Bensons, and another couple of families, the Abbotts, who built Guppies cottages, and that's my first introduction, real introduction, when I was 5 years old, coming over in the summer and staying in those cottages. Anybody stayed in either the Guppies cottages or the Shady Shore? Ms. Allen has. Anyhow, it fascinated me because, I mean, they were simple, but we had a lot of fun.
I smoked my first cigarette there. I never.
Evil woman. Anyhow, in the middle they sort of have a living area and kitchen and just, where you could get together as a family, and then they had 2 bedrooms on the side. But what fascinated me as a 5-year-old boy is that the Iceman came and he had tongs and he brought the ice for the ice box. And that, I don't know exactly why that fascinated me. And it continued to fascinate me as a young boy when during the summertime we didn't have air conditioning. So we'd go to the ice house in Pensacola and either buy a block of ice for watermelon or to make some ice cream. And it always fascinated me that they had those tongs. And so the Guppies cottages are over there where Dollar General is in that shopping center. And they had it all the way down to the water where the houses are. And then as you go across to the beach, on the left-hand side was another set of cottages called the Shady Shores. And that was owned by a prominent Pensacola family, the Paces and the Walkers. And so they were, I would assume, sort of similar. I never went in the Shady Shore cottages. I sometimes walked through their beach to go across. There was a wooden bridge. After they built the Bay Bridge, they built a bridge over to Pensacola Beach, and it was wooden and made out of creosote lumber and all. Hot, I remember, on your feet when you're barefoot. But all they had over there at the beach was a bathhouse and a casino, which had a restaurant and such have, and they had events over there. But